We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He's starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, come on fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new part of What If Izuku Was Pyra and Mythra's Driver. This is part 30, and damn, I've come this far with this series now. Reached that of the 30th part, after all. And to be honest, I'm still enjoying it either way, no matter what. Anyway, let's go that of a quick recap. In the last part, the siege on the summer camp is still going on strong. However, with the efforts of Ida alongside Obrona and that of the two driver and Blade working together with the help of Jin to gather that of many more of Class 1B that was hit by Mustard's gas. Not to mention, Izuku was able to save both Tokoyami and Shoji easily, due to not needing either Bakugo or Shoto for light, as, well, his sword alone, alongside Numa's power, was all he ever needed to calm down the raging quirk. Even saving Bakugo, and with the help of Jin, preventing that of Compressed to steal both Bakugo and Tokoyami, by cutting off his arm long before he loses his arm to that of Overhaul after all. Not to mention, it seems like the villains had to retreat, with leaving behind a few of their allies though. But Kurogiri was able to gain those who were still able to escape pretty easily. With now Izuku and Pyra and Mythra are now passed out, as the summer camp finally comes to an end. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? 1 hour later, a fire department alongside that of an ambulance was finally called to that of the summer camp. The ambulance was needed for that of many of the students from Class 1B. Only a select few students from Class 1B that weren't affected and were able to stay conscious throughout the entirety of the event. However, there are only a small majority of Class 1A students that were affected by the gas too. Plus, however, even though the main target of why the League of Villains was not taken, being Katsuki Bakugo, this still wasn't considered a true victory as well. A few hours later, it was soon found out that Ragdoll, one of the members of the Wild Wild Pussycats, was taken. She lost a lot of blood, however, it was said she's still alive, it seems. But that's not what also took over as well. The League of Villains found the summer camp. The main reason behind the summer camp's location being hidden in secrecy was mainly so they wouldn't be attracted or be found by neither the media nor the villains as well. And yet, the League of Villains was able to find them. Some say it was kind of, coincidence, or they were probably holding that of a secret meeting. Some even believe that it would just happenstance after all. But it couldn't be. Some media even began to speculate some other things as well. All that people now know is the League of Villains are not just a small group anymore. They had that of several high-ranking villains, mainly two of them such as Muscular and Moonfish. Muscular, basically a savage murderer who killed who killed the previous water hose heroes, Koda's parents, and Moonfish, a cannibalistic death row villain that always escaped capture no matter what. And sure, there was another villain that was captured too. However, it doesn't matter. These were the biggest catches, but it dwarfed to that of the comparison, wondering, is even UA safe for the students, for the Hero Course students anymore? However, that's not the only problem that was happening as well. While the camp was going on, something else happened. Core crystals began to show up all across Japan, and not just Japan, but all across the world as well. People began finding core crystals everywhere, no matter where they go. Almost like as soon as Izuku awakened Numa's power, the power of the conduit, it's almost like core crystals began to appear more than ever. And due to people's lack of, aptitude for that of core crystals, more and more people began to get injured from the lack of, for those of core crystals. But the small majority who did have aptitude for core crystals began to spread and show on that of the internet, especially here in Japan as well, showing that the world is beginning to change more than ever. Currently, with the League of Villains recovering from that of their wounds, especially with that of, Compress having to get a new cybernetic arm thanks to that of Gurren, with him still feeling that of the, jostle of the new appendage, saying, I will not lie, I miss having that of my original arm, but this is my fault. Nothing else can matter. Within, soon, twice saying, looks good on you. Nah, I kind of prefer the old one better. With Dabi looking at that of Shigaraki, as he's basically looking over that of the news over his phone, but then saying, hey, what do you think, what are we going to do now? We didn't get the target, as we said, not to mention nobody on that little kill list of yours was even taken out either. So what the hell is next? We basically failed. But then Shigaraki basically putting the phone down saying, not necessarily, Dabi. But then, soon, Dabi looking at that of Shigaraki, even though he can't see his face entirely, through his eyes of his hand mask, he couldn't help but have that of a look of pure, utter enjoyment, saying, sure, we may have lost and we may have lost a few of our allies, but think about it. What's more important for that of the heroes? Doing their job right or keeping their image? Within hearing this, Dabi saying, wait, are you saying? Shigaraki looking back at that of the, remaining members of the league saying, as much as I wanted to get that damn Bakugo brat, it's a loss that I'm willing to accept. But our main goal, our main reasoning was to stoke fear. Fear that not even where they hide or no matter where they go, we'll follow, no matter what they do. I won't lie, we did get a little lucky, and chances like this only come once a while. But even so, doesn't matter. Now the sheeple will be thinking for themselves, thinking that the teachers at UA or even the heroes themselves are able to keep their precious little children who want to be heroes safe and sound. But then Magne saying, so you're saying either win or lose, we still gain somewhat of a victory. I won't say that I like it, but I guess I can accept this. But then Toga saying, geez, it's so annoying. I just want to cut things, but I guess it shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? But then Spinner saying, even so, there are still more and more fakes out there. We may have been exposed some of them, but now, what's to say that the media will just cover this up like they always do, especially with that of Stain. Within soon, somebody coming through the door saying, even if they do, it's not like they're going to be able to cover up the other little story that's also following around. Seeing that of a familiar, gap-tooth having, sunglasses wearing, white-haired, information broker of the League of Villains, Gurren. With twice seeing that of the info broker saying, hey there, Gurren, looking good. You look like shit. As the man does look at least like he's been through that of a meat grinder. Clothes disheveled, little bit wrinkled here and there, and possibly a few tears here and there as well. Within, compressed saying, I have to say, thanks for the arm, but you had better days than yesterday. What has happened to you, my friend? As the man still having a cigarette in his mouth, basically scratching his head saying, let's just say I had a little bit of a run-in with somebody interesting. And I think he might make a good addition to the league, especially after hearing you guys lost that of Muscular and also Moonfish alongside that Mustard Kid. Within hearing this, everybody couldn't help but be a little bit on edge, except Shigaraki. Within saying, bring him in. With soon saying, come on in, big guy. As soon as he says that, he does see a pretty tall and somewhat muscular man with that of pure black armor, and at least a little bit of that of samurai armor as well. However, what truly stands out the most is his weird helmet, as it looks like that of a Japanese samurai kabuto helmet, basically a horn, beetle helmet. And not only that, having that of a purple mask that covers his entire face. Plus, what stands out the most too is the thing in his left hand, as it looks like that of a sword, with that of a glass lens in the center, and above that being somewhat of a cross-like crystal, as he even overshadows that of Gurren, with everybody a little bit on edge, feeling this guy's somewhat intimidating, but also somewhat unnerving presence. Within him, basically looking around saying, I have to say, you have to be the most sorriest bunch of losers I've ever met in my life. With just those words alone, everybody in the entire bar couldn't help but feel offended as hell. Even Shigaraki is trying to not show it, even though he's basically trying to be more mature as that of a leader. Before chuckling saying, and I like that. I like a bunch of misfits after all. Makes things a lot more interesting. Which once again catches everybody off guard again. Before the man basically looks around and looks at that as Shigaraki. Before realizing, yeah, you'll do. Walking over to Shigaraki. Within, Kurogiri couldn't help but basically be prepared in case he does anything. As for Shigaraki, he tenses up a little bit, feeling the intensity coming from that of this man. Within, soon, the two basically are in front of each other, with Shigaraki basically still in his chair, while the armored man basically stands in front of him. Within, soon, Shigaraki saying, so, care to introduce yourself? Saying, before that, I need you to do me a favor. Within saying, we just met and you're already asking for stuff? Within saying, it's nothing too major. All I need you to. Within bring up that of the sword in his hands and that of his reverse grip, before offering that of the hilt to that of Shigaraki saying, grab onto this for a bit. Within, Shigaraki saying, are you serious? Within saying, yep. Before then saying, fine, as he puts at least that of 4 fingers on it. Before then, the man saying, I need you to put all fingers onto it, dumbass. Within soon, Shigaraki having a twitching eyebrow. Within saying, if you want this thing destroyed, I think it's best if I don't. Just do it. Within Shigaraki scoffing saying, fine then. I hope you don't mind your fancy little toy decaying to dust. Don't blame me for what happens after. Shigaraki places all 5 fingers on the sword. However, instead of it decaying to dust, it soon glows that of a menacing but somewhat beautiful purple light. Is from that of the, cross-like crystal above it. Before then, it opens up and soon see that of Japanese kanji symbols within that of the glass cylinder in the center of the blade before it fully materializes that. A single-edged, deadly dark blade. Just looking at it, it starts to remind him a little bit of Pyra and Mythra, of their Aegis swords. But then, soon realizing, before looking at that of the man in the armor, saying, "What the hell even are you?" But then saying, "Haha, well, looks like it's made. Looks like you're my driver, kid." With then hearing that, everybody completely and utterly shocked in the bar, even Shigaraki. With then saying, "Driver, wait, you're saying you're a blade?" With then, soon the masked man saying, "Indeed! The name's Logos, but I prefer the name Malos, the Endbringer." Within everybody still completely off guard. Within Gurren saying, "Tell me, I was shocked too when I heard about this. This guy is a blade, and yet he had no driver. And when he heard that I was recruiting people for you guys, he basically said that he's looking for some group of people to join. Mainly to look for somebody, actually. And I told him you guys would be up for it." Within, soon, Shigaraki saying, "So you really are a blade? Well, not just any blade, an Aegis blade. But right now I'm not at my peak strength, so I kind of need a driver so I can fully recover. And so I can find one of my siblings as well." Within, hearing that, Dobby can help a comment saying, "Siblings? I didn't think blades even had siblings." Malos looking at that of Dobby. Dobby being a little bit on guard saying, "Trust me, kid. I'm a different breed of blade. Not to mention, in case you were basically willing to turn me away because Glasses over there did say that you had a bit of a temper. Tomura Shigaraki. Saying, is that really your real name? Or is it just an alias?" But then Shigaraki narrowed his eyes. But then soon he couldn't help but huff, saying, "It's what you should call me." But then soon Malos saying, "Alright, whatever." Back what I was saying, in case you didn't want to basically add me, I did have a little bit of a bargaining chip though. Hey, smoking geezer. But then saying, you really had to just call me that? Before then, duffel bag actually. Within, was unzipping it as being tons of core crystals. Within, everybody completely and utterly shocked at this, with even that of Shigaraki saying, "What the? This was my bargaining chip in case you weren't let me join." Tomura, just by looking at a few of you, you guys got some aptitude. And if you plan on basically taking over this country, you're gonna need some backup and some extra firepower to boot. But looking at you, Tomura, you don't just want the power. You don't want to just rule. You want to destroy. Isn't that right? Well, then, looking at that of Malos, is looking into that of Shigaraki's eyes. For some reason, both of them could actually feel like they've met a true kindred spirit within one another. Seeing all of this being all for one, with him basically noticing all this, staying quiet, saying, I'm glad that Tomura has gained more allies and even become a driver, as they say. However, this Logos, or Malos as he prefers, seems a little bit off. I don't fully trust him. Within, a man in that of behind that of All for One, in that of the Shadows, saying, he is a blade. He shouldn't be too hard to basically beat. We'll just need to put him back into his core crystal and just reawaken him later. That's how it's done. That's how it's done, after all. And the information I was able to gather. Within, All for One thinking, true, Doctor, true. However, this one seems a little bit off. Calls himself an Aegis, the Endbringer. Almost like he seems like somebody who was above it all. somebody who sees himself as what I plan to become, reminiscing on All For One's true goal, his true dream of becoming a demon lord. But on the other hand, though, within looking at that of the sword that's in Tomura's hands, the sword that literally has not decayed ever since Shigaraki basically placed all 5 fingers on it, saying, blades have such an enormous power. That brat from UA, for example, he has that of 2 blades, if I recall, from the sports festival that I told Tomura to look at. If 2 blades have this much, if one of these blades have this much power, what would happen if I have a blade of my own? Maybe it's best if I introduce myself to that of my successor's new partner in crime. As All For One couldn't help but have that of a pharaoh grin on his face. Currently at UA, there's basically a large majority of news reporters. Not a huge majority, but at least a handful of them actually, basically asking for answers, reassurance. Why has UA stayed quiet all this time? Wondering how the students are, or if the families have been, told about that of how their children were attacked. As the school is basically all quiet, all but one room. That being the meeting room between that of the UA faculty, with Nezu sighing and basically putting a tablet down onto the table, saying, our original plan has failed. Even though that there is no casualties and the League of Villains' true motives to capture one of our own students has failed as well, the damage is still done. Within, Snipe couldn't help but comment saying, how did the damn League of Villains even able to find the summer camp? It couldn't have been just a coincidence, could it? They couldn't have just been out there probably doing training exercise before noticing the camp? But then, Midnight saying, as much as I want to say it, as this being a coincidence, doubtful. This was all premeditated, all prepared. They were all ready to basically take on our students and try to kidnap Bakugo. Hisashi Yamada, aka President Mike, couldn't help but say, as much as I don't want to say it, and I really don't, is it possible that we have a traitor among us? Within, the man who's normally always carefree and laid back actually shows the biggest sign of pure and utter seriousness for the first time in years. Not since the death of his best friend during UA. Ectoplasm saying, Mike, you can't be serious. Yamada standing up saying, oh, trust me, I really don't want to bring this up, but I have to. How else can any of those villains be able to find them? Coincidence my ass. Either somebody gave them the information or somebody informed them ahead of time. It could have been one of us, or it could have been a student. That's all I'm gonna say. But even so, Snipe saying, you're seriously blaming one of us or even our own students for this? How we know that you're not the traitor since you brought it up? Within, Midnight saying, stop it, both of you. This isn't helping at all. Within, somebody coming through the door saying, I 100% agree. For the first time that Mike isn't yelling, I can still hear him down the hall. But then, seeing through that of the meeting hall doors being Aizawa and Hayes, 13 couldn't help but comment saying, you're arriving late. Aizawa couldn't help but sigh saying, I would have came here sooner, but a little someone wanted to make sure that I was okay. I was 100% okay. As he looks at that of Hayes, who basically just not apologetic whatsoever, as she gives off that of a kind-hearted and caring smile. Aizawa bringing up the fact saying, I'm not... Hisashi, as much as I want to say that you have a point, it's still just speculation. Within, Mike couldn't help but say, you can't be serious, Shota. Within, soon, as I was saying, but, like I said, you have a point. We're not just going to be suspicious towards everybody here alongside that of our own students. We need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Not to mention, they've been through a harrowing experience. If we start interrogating our own students, the media might get a hold of this. Not to mention, the media is taking any chance they can get to basically bring UA down to their level at any cost. We need to show them that we are not going to be looked down upon. Within, hearing this from that of Aizawa, but soon, Yamada saying, you're right. Well then, Midnight, or rather Nemuri, couldn't help but look at Aizawa as he's basically changed. Before then, looking at that of Hayes, saying, and I think I know the reason why. However, within, as Aizawa goes to his seat, he soon notices All Might still having that of a head slumped on that of the table, saying, the hell's with you, All Might? Within, All Might still having that of a gloomy and somewhat depressed look on his face, saying, while the students were fighting for their lives, I was enjoying a hot spring vacation. I should have been there. Within, Aizawa basically slapping All Might upside the head with that of his capture scarf. Within, All Might saying, Aizawa, what the hell? Holding his injured head, before then saying, stop overreacting. We all decided, and even you agreed, that you being there was just as much of a target. We didn't know that they would go after one of our own students. But yet, within, thinking back at the sports festival, within, soon Nezu bringing up the fact on why the League of Villains tried to kidnap Katsuki Bakugo. Bringing up that of the sports festival, how he won through technicality, how he refused to accept the win at all. His volatile nature, not to mention his refusal to work with that of Izuku during that of the final exam, when having to be forced to work with them against his will. But then, soon, Nezu saying, it's only natural that the League of Villains would think that somebody is volatile and as, well, explosive personality that is Katsuki Bakugo. With Ectoplasm explaining the boy's entire personality basically shows that even though he wants to be a hero, his personality says otherwise to that close to that of a villain. Vlad King finally speaking up, saying it's because of his attitude that many of our own students got caught up in the crossfire, even finding out the fact that a few students from Class 1A was on that of a so-called kill list, as it seems, possibly due to that of their performances during the sports festival, showing that the League of Villains isn't just interested in taking down All Might, but also targeting our own students as well. Within All Might basically getting at least a little bit out of his depressed stomp, saying, speaking of, where is young Bakugo? What Aizawa bringing up, saying, he's technically with that of the police right now. We wanted to make sure that he stayed overnight at that of the police station right after coming back in town. He should be heading back home by now. However, he's under that of strict orders to stay home and to keep limited access outside of his home. To be honest, I'm more worried about the kid, to be fair. Within, everybody looking at that of Aizawa, saying, I know he may have been volatile, trust me, quite volatile, but I see on how hard he works, how hard he tries his best to try and strive to be a hero. He may have that of a, well, undesiring personality in the eyes of the public, but he has the grit and hard work to wanting to prove that he can be a hero more than anything. And to be honest, I feel like this whole entire experience may change him, since the villains were after him. Who could say it's either for the best or for the worse? All we need to do is just keep an eye on him for the time being. That's all I'm going to say. Within, Ace couldn't help but smile, saying, That's good words to go by, Shoto. As everybody in the meeting room couldn't help but agree, within Vlad King saying, just make sure to keep your students more in check. Within, as I was saying, funny, I was about to say the same thing about you and Monoma. Within, both rival homeroom teachers can help but glare at each other. Before then, soon, Nezu spoke up saying, now with that settled, how about all of the students who are currently at that of the hospital? Within, Black King spoke up saying, a small majority of my students from Class 1B were basically hit by that of the gas, since it originated from inside of the forest where they were at. Luckily, thanks to that of Midoriya's efforts, alongside that of Tenny Ida's, they were able to gather all the students before any negative side effects or permanent side effects could happen to them. I hear that a few of them are still in the hospital, just making sure to stay recovered, while some of them have already head back home by now. The only one that's still in the hospital is within Soon, Hay spoke up saying, that would be Izuku. With then Aizawa saying, the damn problem child. He was the one who basically took care of everything easily. He awakened some kind of new power during the summer camp. Within everybody looking at that of Aizawa, within soon, Hayes comment saying, I can explain this. Since I'm actually a blade, we basically gain that of unique powers and abilities. As some of you may know, my power basically allows me to restrict and basically temporarily control that of blades by manipulating their ether flow. But Midoriya's blades, they're on a whole other level than I've ever seen in my life. Jin is one thing. I have to say he has to be one of the strongest blades I've ever seen, ever. A good control over his ether and also powerful control over ice as well. Part of me even believes he's even holding back even more power too, that I don't even think that Midoriya is aware of. As for his actual blade, Pyra, the one he calls Pyra and Mythra, they are unique. Something beyond what I am expected. Something greater than anything I've ever seen in my life. A power that even transcends reality itself. Imagination becomes reality. Not to mention the new form that she gains. Something that I feel like even half of you would all struggle to even go against, to be honest. Even you, All Might. Within hearing that, leaves All Might completely and utterly shocked by this. Within, President Mike spoke up saying, hold up. It's almost like, I know blades are this weird stuff and we're just getting up to news, especially finding out that you guys come from those weird blue gemstone things, after all. Even the public have found out about this. Within, All Might realizing, Mirai, he's been trying to help with that of the government and the HBSC to keep that of those core crystals and blades more of a secret. Trying to ease people into it, but yet, seems like that's not going to work anymore. The knowledge of blades is now into the public. And now knowing that these are artificial people, I wonder how the public is going to react to them. Within thinking about that of Izuku, Mythra, Pyra, and Jin. Currently at that of the Masafu General Hospital, currently waking up as it being Izuku. Bandaged arms, casted up a little bit, as he's still able to move that of his fingers, but still a little bit, but his arms, not so much. Within, looking over to the side, seeing that of sliced apples made by his mom. Within, looking over to that of his other side, being that of Mythra, laying down right beside that of Izuku. Within, soon, she also waking up saying, Oh, looks like you're up. About damn time. I was up way before you. Before then, he begins to sit up. But then saying, hey, don't rush yourself. Seriously, you still need to. Before then, without warning, he grabs that of Mythra and places her close to that of his chest. But then, she couldn't help but completely and utterly blush, saying, Izuku? Where do you? I'm sorry. Within, she's saying, huh? Then saying, I'm sorry to you and Pyra. I'm sorry for always making you worry. I'm sorry for always basically pushing myself, for thinking that your love for me is basically meaningless. I'm sorry for just being me. But then, soon, Mythra couldn't help but switched over to Pyra, before then getting out of the hug, then saying, you're a real dummy, you know that? But then she's saying, I thought you were Pyra. But then she's saying, I am, but you can be an idiot, Izuku. And that's exactly what me and Mythra love about you. You're kind, you're caring, you're always wanting to be there for others. You value everyone else's lives even when you feel like you shouldn't. You want to help everybody that needs it even though they don't ask for it. Mythra and I couldn't ask for a driver better to fall in love with. Within hearing that, it just makes Izuku want to tear up even more. Within, soon, sliding the door, then saying, Izuku, you're finally awake. As it being Jin, entering in with a few soda cans, but then saying, hey Jin, sorry if I, you reckless, immature idiot. But I guess I shouldn't be too surprising after all. You have that hero's soul and heart. Wouldn't hold back. You wouldn't be able to sit back tight knowing that other people needed to be helped after all. Within Izuku looking down saying, still. Before then, Jin patting him on the head. Before then, Izuku winces a little bit saying, oh, sorry about that. I should have realized that you would still have at least some injuries over your head too. But then, soon, Mythra come out saying, seriously, and you're always the more, perceptive one. But then, Jin couldn't help but narrow his eyes before saying, apologies. Before then, Izuku saying, it's almost like things haven't changed at all. But then, saying, speaking of change though, you, Pyra and Mythra, what was that power? What was that true power that I saw that you both were wielding? The sword, Mythra's and Pyra's sword changed. Their appearance also changed as well to something I didn't know. Plus, you were calling her Numa. Care to explain? But then, Izuku saying, Before then, the door also slides open, as it being a select few people from Class 1A, as it being Shoto, Ida, Abrona, Shoji, Kirishima, Ochako, Sue, Tokoyami, Kendo, and surprisingly, Shinso as well, with someone else too that Izuku did not notice. However, he soon noticed, wait, are they? Within, soon, Ida saying, Midoriya, you okay? Within, Abrona saying, seriously, you slept for so long. You're such a lazy bones, Izuku. Mythra saying, hey, at least he actually did something, unlike you. But then, Abrona saying, hey, me and Tenya did do some work. But then, soon, Jin saying, please don't fight. But then, Ida saying, please, Abrona, this isn't the time for that. As soon, both Abrona and Mythra basically turn their heads and huffing. But then, Shoto saying, you doing okay, Midoriya? But then Izuku saying, yeah, still a little sore here and there, but I'm fine. Thanks for coming, guys. Within, Kirishima saying, seriously, we heard what happened. You were so manly. You were able to help everybody alongside you, Jin, and everybody else too? That is so cool. Within, Ochako saying, I'm glad that you are all doing okay, but are you really sure you're okay, Deku? Within, Izuku saying, like I said, I'm fine. I think I might just need to rest a little bit. Hopefully I can take these casts off though. Shinso coming up with the person right beside him, as looking at them, they're basically a person wearing that of samurai-like armor, blue samurai-like armor, that almost looks a mix. However, it also has like a mix of shinobi attire as well. With that, as he also has that of red frame glasses and a short brown hair. Now Izuku looks at that of Shinso and sees that of a bow on his back. Within, soon, Izuku saying, wait, Shinso, are you a driver now? Within saying, so you do know what this is. Figures as much, since you're one as well, after all. No way in hell I was ever going to beat you during that of the sports festival. Within saying, oh, Shinso, you look too much in the past. Think about more of the future, to be honest. You are the star of your own show. Start acting like it, would you? Within saying, yeah, whatever, Akos. Within, that's when Kirishima saying, not to mention, as we want to bring up, we heard some rumors online about that of people coming from crystals. Within, Sue saying, we thought it was fake news trying to blight over what happened with us over the school, but it seems it's real. I saw some weird, guy with that of dark skin and white armor and that of and a blank expression over his face. walking with that of a woman. And then Ochako saying, same here. But I saw the guy being a little bit more bigger and bulkier, had that of massive muscles, actually. But then even Kendo spoke up saying, same here. But I saw a woman this time with the same appearance, but she was with that of a little boy. Couldn't be any older than 9, possibly even 12. But then Izuku, eyes whining, saying, everybody is awakening blades? But I thought that was impossible, since there was such a small majority. And but then thinking, oh man, Sir Night-Eye, Mirio-senpai, they have their work cut out for them trying to keep this in check, but it almost seems like... But then, soon, Jin saying, well, you were basically asleep, Izuku. Turns out more and more cores have been discovered across Japan, and not just Japan. But then Pyra spoke up by switching out of Mythra, saying, all across the world, some people are basically being put in that of small-time comas, being rejected by that of core crystals, while some are able to awaken them pretty easily. Within soon, Shinso saying, that's an understatement, a large majority of people here in Japan, especially in that of the Shizuoka prefecture, have literally been in the hospital. And even this hospital, Hosu Hospital, and Shibuya Tokyo National University Hospital too. People have made awareness to say to stay away from these things called core crystals. But a small majority of people haven't listened, while some have awakened blades, some not so much. But then, Ak also adjusting his glasses saying, indeed, it's only those who are able to have the aptitude to basically become that of drivers. And that threshold in this world is quite small, it seems. But then Izuku saying, so you all know now. But then Izuku looking down saying, so what do you think of? But then Ochako saying, you're still Izuku, you're still Deku. That hasn't changed. But then Izuku saying, but I'm quirkless. I have no power. But then Tsuyu saying, that doesn't matter. We respect you for who you are. That doesn't change. Well then, soon Shoto saying, everybody here in Class 1A are here as well. They come to check on that of Yaoyorozu, Jiro, and Hakakore. But they said that they also feel the same way that we all do too. But then Ida saying, indeed, we figured that you would beat yourself up when they found out. Just as me and Todoroki, we don't judge you for having no quirk. You are Izuku Midoriya, our classmate and friend. But then Abrona saying, yeah, dummy, get it through that messy moppy hair of yours, why don't ya? But then Izuku, hearing all those words of comfort, but him couldn't help but basically begin to cry and tear up from all their words, realizing that even if they found out, they were never going to leave him. But then soon, noticing that the core crystal in Izuku's bag saying, I didn't know my bag was still in here. But then Jin saying, your mom brought it over just in case that you wanted your supplies. Figure you wanted your hero notebooks. But then grabbing out of the bag, before then bringing up that of the core crystal. Before then, everybody's still kind of shocked about this. Before soon, Izuku basically grabbing that of his IV drop and then going over to the side. But then Pyra saying, Izuku, wait, saying, I got this. Before then, grabbing that of the core crystal in Jin's hands as it begins to react to Izuku. And then, as soon, Ida saying, Midoriya, shouldn't you wait? You're still not. Saying, I feel like this is the right time to show you guys the truth and what the media is trying to hide. As soon, the blade begins to awaken, and that of a bright light lies that of a beautiful young woman, almost looking like the same age as them actually, wearing that of a hori kimono, a quite revealing leotard that leaves little to the imagination to that of her thighs and legs and hips. long braided gray hair, and with that of ears like that of a cat actually, with that of ear accessories along with them. Within soon, in her hands lies that of a blade that looks like it's made out of water, as the garden hilt almost looks like that of flowery vines that you would see lakes and rivers before seeing her amber eyes. Before then, she's saying, "It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Nia. So, which one of you louts are my driver?" As everybody is a little bit shocked at that of her, well, somewhat elegant voice, but crass language though. But then he's saying, "So, she's my new blade." But then he's saying, "That would be me." Before then saying, "Ah, I see. Of course, as soon as I'm awakened, I just had to basically get a person that gets himself injured like an idiot." But then Izuku feeling like he just got stabbed in the heart saying, "Okay, that's fair." Then soon, Pyra saying, "Please go easy on Izuku. Nia, was it? He's had it rough." And saying, don't worry, I have this." Before then, basically putting that of her sword away, before soon raising that of her hands up, before that of a water-like or a dome consumes around Izuku, as then all of the soreness and pain alongside that of his broken bones begins to feel like they're being restored to a point before they were even broken at all. But then realizing, whoa, did you just saying, yes, I can heal, but promise me you don't make this a habit. I don't like healing out of injuries that can take weeks to recover. Not to mention, I'm not a fan of having drivers that are basically numbskulls, so I hope you're a lot more smarter too. But then Izuku saying, "I'll try my best to live up to your expectations." As Izuku tries laughing this off, Pyra help but also laugh a bit, before Jin sighing saying, "Well, looks like we have more to the family now." With everybody else in the room still completely utterly shocked on how that of a blade is awakened, with still even that of Shinso saying, "So, even though seeing it myself, it's still overwhelming." But then Akos saying, "This is what it's like to be that of a blade and driver. We blades awakened by that of humans. Most of the time you even think that we can be slaves." But then Shinso saying, "Like I would treat you like that. You're free to do whatever you want, but just try not to cause any trouble." Saying, "As you wish, master." But then saying, "And don't call me that." What Akos couldn't help but basically laugh a little bit, saying, "Okay, it's going to be fun messing with him." Still seen out of the crowded hospital room, and outside of the hospital, a certain ashen blonde wearing that of a, sleeveless jacket, a cap, and with that of a look of pure and utter annoyance, couldn't help but glare at that of the hospital. Before then, seeing a familiar blue dress, fiery blade, saying, "So, you're not going to go in to check on him?" Saying, "Like I need to." Within saying, "You just don't want to be around that of your classmates. Isn't that right, Katsuki?" Within saying, "Just leave me the hell alone. Just go back to the old hag and old man." Within saying, "Can't do that. I promised I would look after you." Saying, "Just leave me the hell alone, damn it! I don't need you! I don't need any of you damn freaks!" Within, Bridget was completely caught off guard by this. But then him saying, "Just leave me the hell alone. I don't need anybody's damn help." As he says this, his voice becomes quite shaky, before then walking off. With Bridget still caught off guard, before sighing, as she couldn't help but open one of her eye for the first time. Before then saying, "Katsuki, even if you try pushing me away all this time, I'm not going to." as she still walks behind Bakugo. As the world changes, some things stay the same, as they say. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. So, how'd you guys like this? Honestly, I did not expect it to be this long. How I wrote it was pretty short, but I guess I added a lot more detail than it needed to be, so I guess that kind of makes sense. And yes, Nia is finally here. After so long of waiting, Nia is finally part of Izuku's team. Not only that, it also shows that Malos is here. As for the reason on why he's here, well, you'll have to see in the next couple of parts or so. Not to mention, I finally decided. I've decided to put that of rare blades in this what if as well, even though I wanted to make completely sure in that of my past videos that I've only wanted to use that of story-based blades and blades that became flesh eaters after all, like that of Akos and also Nia, and even that of Patroka in the future too. We won't be bringing in Mick, unfortunately, given that he is a blade eater, not a flesh eater. But given that there are more and more blades showing up, it only makes sense to bring in that of rare blades too. But they'll only make that of a few cameos, or they won't be so much important after all. So yeah, any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos upload on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, side channel, other channel, Patreon, Cash App, and PayPal. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, hope you all take care. Do your thing, my Shiro.
Hi everyone, this is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!